Our topic is Histology of Skin. Embryologically, morphologically, and physiologically, the skin is a compound organ which forms the encasement of the body. It performs many important functions such as protection, sensation, excretion, secretion, and heat regulation. The skin is also known as cutis or integument. It consists of two main layers, epidermis and dermis. Under the latter is the subcutaneous connective tissue forming the hypodermis or tela subcutaneum, which is not a part of the skin. So, the outermost layer is epidermis. It is ectodermal in origin and composed of stratified squamous keratinizing epithelium. Epidermis is avascular. Its thickness varies from 0.12 to 10 millimeter in different parts of the body. It is thickest on the palm and sole, but is thinner elsewhere, which is known as thin skin, but in palm and sole it is called thick skin. At places where thick skin occurs, the epidermis consists of stratum basale, also called germinativum or malpighi, second stratum spinosum, then stratum granulosum, then stratum lucidum and stratum corneum. These strata are present in the skin. The first two strata are together termed as stratum germinativum. The stratum corneum varies in thickness, greatest in thick skin. Its superficial portion is constantly shaded and therefore many a times called stratum disjunctum. In the thin skin, stratum lucidum is generally absent and stratum granulosum is often inconspicuous. There are four cell types present in the epidermis. These are the keratinocytes, the melanocytes, the Langerhan cell, and mackerel cell. These four types of cells are occur in the epidermis. Among them, keratinocytes are the most abundant cells in the epidermis. Their name denotes they undergo the process of keratinization. In the stratum basale, the keratinocytes is characterized by large nucleus, small Golgi apparatus, many cisternae of rough endoplasmic reticulum, free ribosomes, and tonofilaments. As these cells divide and move up into the stratum spinosum, they produce large quantities of tonofilaments. These become organized into bundles called tonofibrils. Keratinocytes are anchored to their neighboring cells by means of desmosomes. In the upper part of the stratum spinosum, the cells become active in the production of keratohyalin granules and lamellar bodies. Cells that have accumulated keratohyalin granules form the stratum granulosum. The keratohyalin granules contain a substance that combines with the tonofibrils and converts them into soft keratin. As the cells become fully keratinized, their cytoplasmic organelles, including the nucleus, break down. These scale-like cells constitute the stratum corneum and are constantly shed from the skin surface. The process termed de-escumation. Keratin is a resistance proteinous material that protects the skin from abrasions and other mechanical injuries. The keratinocytes also synthesize a glycolipid that is packaged into membrane bound lamellar bodies. This process involves participation of Golgi apparatus. The glycolipid material is released by the keratinocytes into the intercellular spaces of the stratum corneum, and it functions as a water barrier, preventing loss of fluids from the skin. The second type of cell present in the skin is melanocytes. These are epidermal cells located in the stratum basale. They have rounded cell bodies from which long dendritic branches arise and pass among the constituents of the stratum spinosum. These cells are distinguished by the presence of pigment melanin, which is enclosed in cytoplasmic bodies called melanosomes. These bodies are derivatives of the Golgi complex. Mature melanosomes traverse the dendritic process of the melanocytes and are passed to the neighboring keratinocytes. This cell to cell transfer is known as cytokine secretion. Black and brown coloration of our skin and hair is due to melanin. Its production is stimulated when our body is exposed to sunlight for prolonged periods. The resultant darkening of the skin is called tanning. Pigmentation of the skin is believed to protect the underlying tissues from the potentially harmful effects of solar radiation. Skin of the people suffering from albinism cannot synthesize melanin, and therefore such persons appear sickly, pale, with white hair and pale eyes. They also cannot tolerate strong light. The next cell which is found in the skin is Langerhan cells. They are located in the stratum spinosum. They do not have demosomal connections with the neighboring cells but produce dendritic process. The nucleus of this cell has a highly border while the cytoplasm show many distinctive rod-shaped inclusions. These cells play an important role as antigen presenting cells in the immune response of our body at the level of the skin. The Merkel cells are modified epidermal cells distributed in the stratum basale. Each cell is marked by a large nucleus and many cytoplasmic vesicles containing neurotransmitters. The cell is bound to its neighbors with desmosomes. At its base, the Merkel cells are in synaptic contact with the expanded end of a nerve fiber. It is believed that the cell is sensory in function, active in transmission of mechanical stimuli. The second layer of the skin is dermis. It is also called corium. It is mesodermal in origin and a compact layer of fibrous connective tissue several times thicker than epidermis. It consists of outer papillary layer adjacent to the epidermis and a deeper reticular layer which blends with the underlying hypodermis. The papillary layer is called so because it has numerous projections, the papillae, which interdigitate with inpushings or pages of the stratum germinativum. The are of two types, nutritive and sensory. The former contain capillary loops, the latter possess specialized receptor and organs called the tactile corpuscles of Meissner. These sensory bodies appear as lamelliform stacks of connective tissue cells surrounded by a capsule and containing two or more nerve endings. Meissner's corpuscles occur in non-hairy parts of the skin, that is, in the fingertips and palms. The reticular layer is thick and consists of interlacing bundles of dense fibers, blood vessels and nerve fibers, as well as sweat glands and hair follicles also occur here. Below it, hypodermis is present, which serve as to attach the skin to the underlying muscles. It consists of loose connective tissue. In it present considerable adipose tissue, parts of sweat glands, hair follicles, nerve fibers, blood and lymph vessels, etc. In the deeper parts of the hypodermis, especially of the hand and foot, and in certain internal structures, occur the Pacinian corpuscles. These elliptical sensory bodies are pressure receptors and consists of a vascularized capsule formed by concentric connective tissue lamellae. At the center of the capsule is a finger-shaped cavity, the inner bulb. This contains a granular substance into which passes a myelinated nerve fiber whose naked axon ends in a knob. So these are the structure of histological structure of skin of the mammal.